Hello students, today we will study about the square root. This is the second important topic of this chapter. The first topic, that is to find the square, that we have completed, and we have studied the many of the patterns, interesting patterns, how to find out the square. So that already we have studied. Now the second portion is how to find out the square root. This is how actually we can say that the opposite process of the addition is what? Subtraction. Opposite process of the multiplication is what? Division. In the same way, to find the square root is, we can say that it is opposite process to find opposite process of the square. So here, first of all, let us understand. Actually, this is the topic of standard 8, chapter number 6, squares and square roots. So let's suppose we have one square. One square is what? 1. So we can say that the square root of 1 is what? 1. In the same way, 2 square is what? 4. Therefore, we can say that the square root of 4 is 2. How we get the 4? By doing the square of 2. That is why the square root of 4 is what? 2. The reverse process. So here one thing you have to notice is that if we multiply the minus 3 two times, then what will happen? Minus minus will become plus, and that is why we get the minus 3 square is also 9 and plus 3 square is also 9. Actually this thing is applicable in all the square numbers. So therefore we can say that the square root of these numbers 9 are either minus 3 or the plus 3. Either 3 or minus 3. So this will applicable in all the square numbers. Suppose we have the square number, perfect square number 25. Then when we find out the square root of 25, it will be minus 5 or plus 5. Because when we apply the square, minus 5 square is also 25, 5 square is also 25. So whenever we apply the square root, we have to write down both these values, plus 3 and minus 3. Okay, so this is the sign. See, this is the sign of the square root. Okay, if we put 9 in this sign, then the meaning of this is to find out the square root of 9. Okay, so this is the how we can, what is the square root of a number. Now we have methods, some of the methods to find out the square root. So the first method is square root through repeated subtraction. Now remember one of the pattern that we have studied while we are making the square, that when we add the first positive odd integers, like if we add first 3 positive odd integers, then we get the 3 square, that is equals to 9, like 1 plus 3 plus 5, first 3 odd numbers, and that is the total we get is 9, and the 9 is what? 3 square. Why 3 square? Because we add the first 3 odd number, right? That pattern we have to repeat here, but in different manner. How? Here we have to find out the square root of suppose 81. So here we have to use repeated subtraction method. At that time we are doing the addition while we are finding the square. Now whenever we have to find out the square root, we have to subtract the odd numbers. So here we can write down that root 81 we have to find out. What is the value that we get here is, suppose 81 is there. So first odd number we have to subtract from it, that is 1. So 81 minus 1 is what? 80. Right? Okay. Now from the 80 we have to subtract the next odd number, that is 3. So how much we get here? 80 minus 3 is 77. Now here we have to subtract one another from the 7. Whatever we get here is 77. So from 77 we have to subtract the next odd number, that is 5, and 77 minus 5 is 72. Repeat this process until we get the 0. So we have to continue this process. 72 minus, now we have to subtract first, second, third, fourth odd number, that is 7. So when we subtract the 7 here, we get the 65. Again from the 65 we have to subtract the next odd number, that is 9. So 65 minus 9 is, we get here 56, right? 56. Now 56 minus, we have to subtract 11. So 56 minus 11, that we get here is 45. Now again subtract the 45 minus 30, that is the next number. Okay, so 45 minus 13 is what we get here is 32. What we get here is 32. Okay, from 32 again subtract the next odd number, that is 15. And what we get here is 17. Now from this 17 again subtract the next odd number, that is 17. So now we get the 17 minus 17 is equals to 0. So see how many steps we get here to get the 0. How many steps we apply? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth. 9 step means the square root of 81 is what? 9. Understand? This method is, that is why called the repeated subtraction method to find out the square root. Okay, what this simple method, we have to subtract the odd numbers from starting from the 1, right? And whenever we get the 0, that will be the last step. And how many steps we have applied here, that we have to calculate, and that the number of steps will be the square root of the given number. So this method you can apply to find out the square root of any number, either it is the number of smaller number or it is a bigger number. Okay, now let us study the another method, that is the square root through the prime factorization. So here we have to first of all understand what is the meaning of the prime factorization. Let us take an example. Let's suppose you have a number 4040, right? So here you can write down the factors of 40 as a 10 into 4. 10 4s are 40. So these 10 and 4 are the factors of the 40. Why we can say that the 10 and 4 are the factor? When we divide 40 with the 10, we get the remainder 0. When we divide the 40 with the 4, we get the remainder 0. So whatever the number, if we divide the given number and we get the remainder 0, that number is called the factor. So here these two are the factors of the numbers. But see here, 10 is, we can again factorize 10. Yes, we can again factorize 10 as a 2 into 5. And we can again factorize this 4 as a 2 2s are 4. So this is what we again factorize this 10 into 2 part and 4 into 2 part. Now this 2, 5, 2 and 2, that are further we can factorize? No, we cannot factorize any of this number. And this factorization of 40 is called the prime factorization. Okay, so what is the meaning of the prime factorization? That is now clear to you. What we have to do, we have to make the repeated factorization until each of the factors cannot be factorized further. Okay, so this is the prime factorization of the 40. So this method we have to use to find out the square root of a number. So now let us consider a number that is 64, right? So first thing, how we can find out the prime factors. Suppose we have here 64, then what we have to do is, first of all we have to divide this 64 with 2. We want to find out suppose square root of 64. So we have to make 64 here and make this type of pattern. Now we have to divide this number with the 2. If the number is not divisible by 2, then only we have to divide the number with the 3. If the number is not divisible by 3, then only we have to divide with 5. That pattern you have to keep in mind. First of all we have to divide with 2. So it is divisible by 2. So 2, when we divide with 2 we get the 32. This number is again divisible by 2. So divide it with 2, we get here 16. 16 is again divisible by 2. So when we put here 2, we get the 8. Again 8 is divisible by 2. When we put 2 here, we get the 4. Again 4 is divisible by 2. So we get the 2 2s are 4. And again 2 is divisible by 2. So 2 1s are 2. So see how we can write down the factors of 64 as all these numbers we can put in the multiplication and they will be the factors, prime factors of 64. So 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2. 2 into 2, 2 into 2 and 2 into 2. So all these 2 are in the multiplication. Now what we have to do? See, we have to make the pair of the same factors. Here we have make the pair of 2. Again we make the pair of 2 and here again we make the pair of 2. See, there is no factor is remain, right? We get the 3 pairs. Out of the each pair we have to select one number. That is, from this pair we get the 2. From this pair also we have to get one number, and from this 2 we have to get another number. So this is when we multiply this all the numbers, we get the square root of 64, and that is what 2 to the 4 to the 8, right? So this is under root 64 that we get the 8. So under root 64 we get is 8. Okay, so this is how, this is what the prime factorization, this is how we can find out the prime factors of any given number, and this is how we can find out the square root of a number. Okay, so in this way, by using the prime factorization method, we can find out the square root. Okay. Okay, let us consider one more number. Let us take, we want to find out the square root of 225. So here also we have to, we can use this method to find out the prime factors of 225. Now see, this number is not divisible by 2 because the unit place digit number is 5 and 5 is not divisible by 2. That is why this number is not divisible by 2. So can we divide it with 3? Okay, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 plus 2, 9. So 9 is what? 9 is divisible by 3. That is why we can divide this number with 3. Okay, so when we divide with this number with the 3, what will happen? See, 6 3s are 18, 7 3s are 21. So 1 will remain and 1 and 5 becomes 15. So 7 5s are, we get is 15. So 75 we get here. Now again, is this number is again divisible by 3? Yes, we can divide it with by 3. So when we divide it with 3, we get 3 2s are 6. Again 1 is remain and 1 and 5 become 15. So 25 will here. Now this number is not divisible by 3. So now we have to divide it with 5. So this number is divisible by 5. We can divide it with 5. 5 5s are 25. And 5 is again divisible by 5. 5 1s are 5. Right? So this is what, when we get here 1, then the factorization will complete. So we can write down 225 as a factors 3 into 3 into 5 into 5. Again, make the pair of the same factors, the one pair of 3 and one pair of 2. Remember, one pair means the two factors. One pair means the two same factor. Second pair means again the two same factors. We cannot make the pair of 3 and 5. That thing you have to keep in mind. So now from this 2 we have to take 1 3, and from this pair we have to take one of the 5. So that is why this number is what? 5 3s are 15, and that will be the square root of 225. So we can write down the square root of 225 is what? 15. Okay, so in this way now you can understand how we can find out the square root of any numbers by the square prime factorization method. Okay, so this is all about this lecture. Thank you.